Good morning, y'all. I'm on my way to grab coffee because just moved like 2 days ago and it still feels surreal. But okay, so I'm on my way to go get coffee. I have not grocery shopped yet because we were still getting settled into our apartment, and we are officially Georgia residents, y'all. Like, this is like, I told my husband yesterday, I asked him, we were on our way to IKEA in Atlanta. So I asked my husband, I said, does this feel real to you yet? Because I feel like we're going to be packing up to go home, like tomorrow. Like, we're just here visiting. And he was like, no, it still doesn't. Like, even the first night that we came, like, we slept here. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I felt so much anxiety. And not fear, but it was more of anxiety. And I think it's because, like, it actually happened. This is something my husband and I have been talking about for 10 years, about moving to Georgia. And we had to go through a lot to get to this point, like, just to make this move. But we're here. We moved our family of 4 here. And one thing I could say is, like, God gets all of the glory. He knew when it would happen. He knew how many children we would have. He knew what everything was going to look like. He knew. And here we are. So we live in Kennesaw, Georgia, which is Cobb County. Which we love because every time we come visit, his family lives in Marietta, which is right down the road, like right down the road. But every time we would come visit, it's like we never want to leave. We never want to leave when we come, because Georgia is just that state where, you know, one of the states where it just feels good when we come. Like, so I don't know how that'll feel once we are here, but I'm definitely gonna give myself some time, you know, to really get used to this. I keep telling, first of all, I'm thankful for therapy because I'm thankful for God, but I'm thankful for him sending my therapist, because she has been a tremendous help in my life. I think I'm supposed to turn right there. McCullum Parkway. No, go straight. Yeah. But she has been a tremendous help in this situation. Like, she came right on time, y'all. Like, all of this happened so fast. This is a crazy thing. It happened so fast because, honestly, like, here we are in March, right? And if you had told me back in even December that we would be living in another state in March, like, no. Like, I'm like, you're not talking to me, because so God has really moved in this. He has been really faithful, man. Like, God gets all of the glory in this move. Like, for real. Oh Lord, sorry. Y'all, I definitely gotta get used to the roads here, because they turning lanes are like, I don't know. But God gets all the glory. Like, I don't give it to nobody else but God in this situation, because I don't want to say too much, because I kind of want to let this, I keep saying, like, I want my husband to be you know, in this testimony with me, but I'm sure we'll talk about it together. But anyway, y'all, we, like, my husband and I, like, we didn't talk about Georgia at all for the whole of last year. Like, we had a baby in February of last year. Like, COVID happened and the kids had to be home, and what else? Like, it was just so much going on last year that moving wasn't even a thought for us. Like, we never talked about it. My husband came and he lived here in Georgia for like 3 years ago to be exact, right? 3 years ago to be exact. He was here in Georgia, you know, trying to make a way, like open doors for us to move here. But it just didn't work out. And now I know, and I keep telling him this, like, it was timing. Like, we weren't ready. And after, like, the past 3 years of what, like, how just we become as a couple and in our relationship, like, God really showed us that, okay, y'all wasn't ready to be in Georgia. Because we wouldn't have made it, y'all. And it's only because we wouldn't have made it. Like, we wouldn't have survived Georgia as a couple 3 years ago. So we had a lot of resurrection that needed to happen in our marriage. And so it didn't work out. We were living with my parents at the time when he did come. He came for, like, I think maybe it's like 8 months he was here in Georgia, or it was almost a year. And I stayed home with my parents and the 3 kids, and he came here, and he, you know, yeah, so he tried. I came up here a few times from Florida, came up here quite a few times to, like, you know, for us to try to figure it out, because the plan wasn't even for him to move here. He just came to do some work and come back home to Florida. But when he came, he was like, what if I just try to stay here and y'all come up here? My mind was so out of, like my mind was not where it needed to be. So even though I was saying okay, I was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to leave my family. I don't want to this and that and blah, blah, blah. Like, trying to hold, like, at that time, I was trying to just hold on to something that was just non-existent. And so he came back, and we got an apartment as soon as he came back, and we moved out of my parents' house, and it was a very small 2-bedroom apartment. And but y'all, that was like the wilderness for us. Like, we had to go through these last 3 years. So much has happened that has really healed me, him. Like, there's a lot of stuff that happened personally, mentally, emotionally, because I don't care what you go through, you take, like, my sister always tells me this. She said, you're gonna take you wherever you go. So it don't matter. You can be saying you move into get away from this and that, but if your mind isn't right, and if you're not constantly working on yourself to do better, like, you're not gonna survive. Yeah, what I was ordering my coffee, y'all. But so my husband says that, like, not my husband, my sister always tell me, she's like, you gonna take you wherever you go. Like, she says that. And I knew the me that I was 3 years ago when we tried this couldn't come to Georgia, because I wouldn't have survived. I wouldn't have survived, and I would have been, like, trying to run back home to, like, my parents, the comfort, the familiar stuff. And yeah, so here we are. 3 years, those last 3 years had to happen for us to even get to this point. Now, when I tell y'all, like, the faith that we had to have in this situation. So let me give y'all a little story time. So back to what I was saying. Anyway, I started it. My husband started talking about Georgia again. This has always been a desire of his. Like, he started talking about Georgia again, probably November. I think this is a night I'll never forget, because actually it was November that he started talking about it again and moving to Georgia and stuff like that. Like, he hadn't said anything the entire year. And so I'm just listening. I conversate with him every time he mentioned it. He was starting to mention it at least once a week. And so Thanksgiving night, we were just up late, and we stay up late, like after the kids go to bed, and we have really deep conversations.
422.
420, and I got 2 cents.
Okay.
Oh. There we go. Can I get some extra cream and sugar on the side?
Yeah.
I like your lashes. Are they individuals or strips?
Yeah.
Okay. Does this person have an Instagram that did your lashes? Does this person that did?
Yes.
Okay.
Her name is Yarly. Lash by Yar.
Yar?
Yeah.
Lash by Yar? Okay. Thank you. You too. Y'all, I do that too. Like, I just been looking at all the women Lash by Yar. So, anyway, let me get back to my story. So, my husband, one night after Thanksgiving, we, he started talking about Georgia again. We're up till like 2 o'clock in the morning. And, we sit outside and have some really deep conversations. So, he started talking about that again, and he was just like, let's really give it a shot. Like, let's really give it a shot. And I was like, you know what? Okay, cool. Like, we were just ready to go. We were at a point where we had started looking around where we lived for a place, and it seemed like we just could not find anything that like fit our needs. And like, we found a nice house. We knew we didn't want to go in another apartment because all of the apartments around where we live just either were too small or the rent was just too high for what they were offering. So we were looking at a house, and it was just a lot of situations with that. So we were kind of coming to a dead end in that too. And in all honesty, like, we were moving according to our finances at that time. Like, we weren't moving in faith. Like, we was like, okay, we can't afford this, we can't afford to do that, we can't, like, we just kept talking about what we couldn't do looking around where we were living at in Florida. And so that night of Thanksgiving, he started talking about it, and he was like, let's just go to Georgia, let's try again and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, cool, like, I'm down. Like, I really had to tell my husband, like, I'm here for you. I'm not the woman that you knew me to be or know me to be, where I just say, you know, I don't be for anything that you desire to do. Oh God, why did I go to that store over there? I was like, yeah, I'm down, let's do it. You know, like, saying that with certainty, but ain't saying it without certainty at the same time, but, you know, like, really agreeing with what he wanted to do. So that was November, 26th is Thanksgiving. So we kept talking about it, kept talking about it. We didn't even say when we were gonna come up here to visit, like to start looking around. We started looking online. We started looking online at different places in different cities. We were looking at McDonough. We were looking at houses mainly, and then I started looking at apartments too. We were looking at McDonough, like we're just looking in different areas. So just looking, not even knowing when this is gonna happen, how it's gonna happen. We just knew we needed to move from where we were very soon. So then December came around. Somehow he talked to one of his family members in December, and they were like, oh, okay, cool, we got a house up here y'all could come look at. Yeah. We got a house up here y'all could come look at, and tell us what you think and stuff like that. So that was December 25th. That was Christmas Day. And then I'm like, okay, all right, well, I guess we're gonna go. And at that time we still were like, okay, we don't know when, you know, we were gonna plan it out, but still looking at our money, like we don't really have, you know, what we need to go up there right now. So come January, y'all, another stimulus came, and we was like, okay, cool, let's go. So that kicked off because we just didn't have the extra cash to like take a trip, you know. So stimulus hit and we were out of there like that weekend. And I kept telling him that week before we even knew officially that we were gonna go, I was like, let's just plan to go. Like, stop looking at the money and stuff like that, and let's just go up there, because if we don't start making the move, we're never gonna do anything. And I don't know. I said, if we don't start making a move, we're never gonna do anything, right? So I was already planning that week. I was trying to get my husband to like just go ahead, get the days off, make sure it's secure so he don't lose his job, get the days off, don't hesitate. And he was just hesitating, but I'm like on top of him, like, get the days off so we can go up there. But he still wasn't sure. And I'm like, we got to just move by faith. So we started to work around the money and figure out, okay, we're going to take this trip and stuff like that with this, and we're going to come right back or whatever. And then stimulus hit that week. So we were like, we out of there. We rented a car. We came up and we stayed for like 2 days, I think. Yeah, we stayed for like 2 days. We left on a Friday. Did we leave on a Friday? No, we left on a Saturday. No, we left on a Friday, whatever. We still were gone for like 2 days or so. And we came up here, looked at the house, and we were just like, no, that is not it. And for a second, like, my hopes were like down. I was like, ugh, well, that's not working out. And that was the main reason we came, figuring that, oh, okay, we're gonna make it work. But I'm like, no, this is not what God has for me, and I'm not moving my family in this house. I was appreciative because it was a house like that they were going to, you know, allow us to live in and do whatever we needed to do to get ourselves together when we came. But I'm like, and we did that as soon as we got in that day. We looked, and so then I started looking for a couple other places before we left, because like the next day we didn't do anything. We didn't get out the hotel room until late, so it was just too late to go look at places. That was a Saturday, so we came back on a Sunday. Yeah. And Saturday, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna find a couple of apartments. I looked at a couple houses, but I looked at apartments, And I did income based, like I did apartments that go by income, and I found a few. So and it's actually the one we live in was the very first one that we came and looked at. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, we can do this. Let's, but that day it was closed. So we couldn't go look inside. So we just went off of what the pictures looked like. And I called and got information and made sure, like, I double checked everything before we applied. And I just told them, let's just go for it. Like, we're never gonna know what's gonna happen if we just don't go for it and stop looking at like our circumstances. We'll never make any moves if we don't do anything. So the application fee was like $20, and we only had to put like $100 holding fee and all of this stuff. And so we applied, and then we got an answer back in like a week. The day that I sent the application, we got an answer back like the next day. We sent it in on a Friday, and we got an answer on a Monday. And y'all, we got approved. Like, we got approved. And I was telling my husband, I was like, oh, all right, it's on from here for real. Like, so then we were looking to move in March, because we were thinking, okay, we'll wait till spring break and we'll move when the kids are out of school for spring break, and we'll go from there. So we told them they had an apartment available for like March 10th. And we were like, okay, cool. They didn't have nothing after that. So we're like, okay, cool, March 10th. Even though it wasn't spring break, it was close enough. So we said, okay, we'll take that. That's what they put on the application. And then after that, they called us back and was like, okay, that one for March 10th is gone. We have an apartment available like right now. This is February, y'all. This is just last month. So we went and looked in January. That weekend, and then we applied like the next week. We got an answer the next week, and then they told us they had an apartment available. It was like 2 weeks from then, and we were like, yeah, February 10th. And that wasn't the plan, but I was like, okay, God got other plans for us then, so we finna just move on it. So we went ahead and took that apartment. It was a 3-bedroom, double the size of what we were in, and almost double the size. And we were just like, okay, we'll take it, because they didn't have nothing else after that. We didn't want to miss out on it, because we were like, okay, we got approved and this is it. I'm just like, nah, we ain't missing out. We didn't know how the apartment looked or anything like that. So we found the money to put our holding fee in our deposit for them to hold it. And then February 10th came, and we had to push the date back because we didn't have the money to move, and we just weren't ready. We needed to get a U-Haul and all of that stuff. And right at this point, the only money that we were looking at that was coming in that was like would give us a boost was our refund.